Okay, welcome to, I guess it's the 11th video on this 74 Mercury Capri and 2005 Mustang adaptation for 24 Hours of Lemons. Here we're putting the Mustang rear axle up into the Capri after welding the spring perches and modified shock mounts. The really cool thing was that the Mustang shocks were the same length as the Capri shocks. We just had to relocate the Mustang shock mounts, and then of course our spring perches and U-joints were from a local trailer supply place, so pretty affordable and quite effective. Once we had our pinion angle set and welded in. So here we've got the shocks mounted, and then I'm putting the car back down because I'm playing with that. The Mustang has a center, the center of the differential has a top mount bracket that mounts to the floor. Unfortunately, the floor of the Capri does not match the profile of the floor of the Mustang, and this was introducing more pinion angle than I wanted if I were to keep that bracket attached. I basically would have to rework the floor of the Capri to get this angle completely where I wanted it. Okay, so that was on the to-do list, was to rework that somewhat. But I switched over, and here we're putting on the power steering pump and removing the AC. So that's what I just took off from there, and now I'm just putting the power steering pump back onto the engine. We're going to have to figure out the serpentine belt and AC delete. I just think, I need a shorter belt. I figure I can find one, but I don't know for sure. Figure we'll put the AC back on if we have to. So now I'm cleaning up the intake manifold and putting that back on. While I'm working up here, Keaton is working on roll cage measurements and the mainstays that will go from the main hoop, basically over the doorways and mount onto the mounting plates that are on the floor, well, not really the floor, on the running board. Anyway, I just put on the alternator, and then we're putting on the it's not a distributor module, but the spark plug, the module that runs the spark plugs. And then I'm digging out the wiring harness, the engine harness, and looking through all my labels that I put on months ago. Fortunately, I'd labeled almost everything, and the ones that I'd forgotten to label we were able to figure out pretty easily. I think I'm doing injectors now, and just following the labels and getting the engine all hooked back up with this harness. And then I will end up taking some time with the that was a harness that went in the back, and I'm just kind of unboxing the harnesses and seeing what I can, how things are working. So this is the main computer and fuse box for the Mustang, and it went up in that front corner, the front passenger side corner, and there just wasn't room for it. And I can see that to get radiator and that in, I'm going to have to cut out some of the Capri brackets that was used for the smaller radiator for the Capri. That radiator was no good on the Capri, and so we figured we were going to want the Mustang radiator anyway. We had the Mustang electric cooling fan, and so I'm just making space for that Mustang radiator and cooling fan. We're kind of using the cooling fan as the template in that the radiator was broken in the accident. We were going to have to get a new radiator anyway. So there's a valance down underneath, just behind the front bumper, and below it, that was pretty rusted out on this Capri, so I cut that out to make room for the radiator. Now you can see I'm working with the fuse box and trying to see, now that I've taken those brackets out, can I make this all fit? The answer ended up being that no, I can't make this all fit, and so that had us rethink the location of the main computer and fuse box, and we decided that they were going to have to be moved into the cab, which kind of changed the order of operations, where we had to get the roll cage done before we proceeded more with wiring. We didn't want to be welding on the roll cage with the Mustang's main computer in there. Here Elizabeth is checking on our progress. And now Keaton and I are taking roll cage measurements and discussing where we want those mainstays to tie into the main hoop, and just kind of how to best get them snugged up against the ceiling. One of the rules for Lemons, and I suppose any race series, is that there's at least 2 inches between the top of your helmet and the top of the roll cage, because things can compress a bit in an accident. And we, the Capri is not a big car, and with our tallest drivers, we had the 2 inches. We actually had closer to 3 inches, but we didn't have a lot of room to give up on the roll cage, so we wanted to make sure it was snugged up against the ceiling. Now I'm working with the anti-lock brake manifold and the brake lines that we took all off the Mustang, and I'm just kind of creating an outline of where everything needs to go, what the brake fittings are at each location, because I'm hoping that I can get flex lines made. And here we got Rick Barnes is here helping out. He's made a foam template there for rear fenders, and we're talking about that. And then I've got a delivery here. This is our fuel cell. We ordered it from the Lemons website, and it's a great option when versus a 45-year-old fuel tank. Now Keaton's getting measurements here for the next mainstay, and I'll take a break from working on the brakes to kind of help when something big needs to be cut, or when we're doing the bends here on the roll cage. Just attached a little angle finder there. Those things are invaluable for setting up your suspension and for bending your roll cage. And so we have a manual bender here. There's no hydraulics, so it takes a second person watching the angle is a good thing. And then we did cut these long, knowing that we would have to trim them up. But again, because we wanted everything really snug up against the roof for the roll cage, we made them long on purpose, and then would take multiple cuts sneaking up on the right length. Now, professional roll cage builders will have bits that they can use in a lathe to make these cuts. We're kind of hand grinding everything, hand cutting and hand grinding, and because we are sneaking up on the final measurement, we end up doing this multiple times. So it's time consuming, but we did end up with a very snug fitting roll cage. So snug, in fact, that we had to drill holes in the floor of the car and drop the cage down in so we could weld the top part of it. But I guess that's fairly common in the roll cage business, and it worked out well for us. Anyway, there's the two of us wrapping up these two mainstays. We're getting close to the end of this video. Please hit like if you enjoyed it. We will have more soon. I'm working my way through all the video that we made here. We're near the end of July at this point. What you're seeing here, so you got to know the race is September 10th. Actually, we need to be out there the 9th. So, not a lot of time left as we're getting this roll cage done. I will say that Lemons does a good job in giving you the instructions that you need to do the roll cage. They spell it out real clearly on their website. We printed it off and we would refer to it as we were working through. So you see us doing that there. That's about it for this video. More to come soon. Thanks for watching.